So let's talk about what you just brought up, the reveal about the White Walkers. Again, it's kind of funny. It just kind of happened in the middle of the episode when it was suddenly like origin story, like throwing in.
The White Walker reveal to me was the biggest surprise of this episode. The fact that the Children of the Forest created them, I think, was something that people had speculated about and thought about, but never quite got to the version of the story that we saw here. And it was really interesting watching the inside the episode with the showrunners David Benioff and Dan Weiss afterwards, noting that since the beginning of the pilot, we've seen this repeated pattern with, the White Walkers where, they were severing limbs and body parts and and now we see that it's this Children of the Forest, imagery and pattern and stuff like that. Like, the hints were there, whether or not they intended to do them then or snowballed it later. So I just thought it was really cool. But we were talking earlier, like, will this actually have any impact on the show? What do you think?
Yeah, I am wondering about that. If you read Matt Feller's review on IGN, he raised this question too, which is it's one of those things where in the moment you're like, ooh, cool. But then it was after the fact a little, I don't know, maybe it lacked a little bit of impact in the bigger scheme of things because the Children of the Forest are a little ethereal, like they've kind of just been there. So it wasn't like we had like a big investment in them as characters. So I do wonder if this is more just kind of giving you the info. And I wonder if we needed the info. It's one of those things like, did we need to know what made the White Walkers, or could have they just been, boogeymen out there?
I have two thoughts on that. The first is that I think the reason a lot of people thought there was more to the White Walkers and the Children of the Forest that meets the eye is because nothing in George R. R. Martin's world is black and white. Like, there's no way that there is a full embodiment of evil in his world. Like, he just doesn't write like that. And so it was always clear to me, and I think a lot of other fans, that there was something else there. So I definitely think it was important to find out that not only were the Children of the Forest, who we don't know much about but assume are good guys, did this terrible thing that is having these horrible repercussions, but also that the White Walkers, and especially the Night King, were just people who were taken advantage of and turned into weapons. And there's like this really interesting commentary on the aftermath of war and violence, and that's something that the books and also the show to a certain extent has been exploring. That being said, I came out of this being like, wait, what, why, how, like, and had so many questions and wish that it hadn't really been dropped in sort of as, an afterthought, and was something that we did get a bit more context to, though I have a feeling that will be coming later. I
do wonder, because Benioff and Weiss clarified for sure that the Hodor reveal came from George R. R. Martin. They didn't say one way or the other about the White Walker reveal. We're assuming that's probably another one that he told them, oh, that's their origin. And I do wonder if this is a case where in the books it'll mean more. On the show, I could see them never using the Children of the Forest again. We don't know. Like you said, it's like, were they all supposed to have been killed basically in that final battle, or was that sort of just a group of them and there's plenty more out there?
Right.
But I can see the show not dealing with them that much more, but in the books that reveal might lead to more.
There's a lot more depth to the mythology in the books. I mean, it's just, you have a lot more pages, a lot more words. This is, George R. R. Martin released a chapter from The Winds of Winter that he'd read before, but he put it up online, so if you haven't read it, brief sort of spoilers for that, but it was from the perspective of a character who's not even in the show, but she's sort of like traveling through the wilderness north of Dorne, and she comes across like a ruins of the Children of the Forest, and to me I was like, ooh, like the children built this and stuff like that. So there are these smaller moments, and I feel like that's part of a broader structure that George is setting up for a big reveal like that. So I agree with you. That's the end of my that's the end of my Winds of Winter spoiler. But yeah, I do think that it will mean a lot more, and I do hope that the show returns to it in some way, even if it's just it feels like they're building up the Night King as a character a lot more.
I was gonna say it could even be as simple.
We saw him; he was sort of hot.
I was gonna say it could be as simple as him turning back into his hot self at the end. I think that maybe that will be sort of the thing that they deal with a little bit, is the sort of the tragedy of if he was once a normal guy, and maybe at the end him transforming back, when he's killed or something like that. I do want to mention that the Children of the Forest, I did like how it turns out they have these like thermal detonators, you know, like little mini nukes, you know, that they throw
I
out.
really like the upgrade on the Children of the Forest in season 4. Like that was something that I remember when we watched it, like, and they were like fighting Skeletor or whatever.
Yeah.
That, like, they just looked
Here it was
a
like
lot better.
it was like lock and load. Like they should have had like bandoliers and like, you know, just pulling out all sorts of heavy artillery.
Someone compared it to the Snitch, and I was like, yeah, I can see it.
I'm gonna because everything is Star Wars to me. It was a mix of the thermal detonator and those blue orbs the Gungans used in Phantom Menace. Except these packed way bigger punch.
Way better. Yeah.
Yeah.
They would have defeated all the battle droids.
They
a
would
lot
have completely,
easier.
just very quickly. All right, so let's move on from there. But yeah, I am curious to see, if the Children of the Forest, how much they personally will come back in. But we might get Hot Night King.
I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
He might make a return.